everyone. Welcome back to another live broadcast of Making It Together. This is our third week with Impressions Group and going live on their Facebook page, in addition to webinars and content as well. So we've been doing a social takeover with them for the first time. It's been great. We're having a ton of fun with it. And this is our third week, and we're going to be continuing this for another week. So make sure you are visiting their Facebook page and their Instagram, because we are doing a full social media takeover with them and feeding a bunch of content there as well. So I'm going live in that Facebook group today if you wanted to watch from there, or the Stahls All Things Heat Printing page, and of course our YouTube channel. And today's topic is going to be about artwork creation in CAD-Works Live. We're going to cut out our design on the Cricut Explore Air 2 and also heat apply a 50/50 cotton poly garment with our new heat transfer vinyl that just launched on Friday, UltraWeed. All right, so this is a brand new product. If you weren't able to attend the event that Josh hosted at 1 o'clock on Friday, you can revisit that broadcast in the videos tab of our Facebook page and group, Heat Printing for Profit. A lot of great information. You'll be able to see that product firsthand if you're kind of on the fence of whether to test it out or not. But it's a great combination, which we've always considered a great combination of fashion film and premium plus. Two are very well-known products in two of our most popular selling heat transfer vinyls. And this is a great combination of both because it applies at a nice low temperature, but it weeds amazingly. And I'm gonna show you that today so you can see some really fine detail in the design that we're actually gonna be creating and how that weeds out, because I'm actually like blown away of how fine of detail this product can actually achieve. And then we'll go over the settings for the Cricut and other settings for maybe some other craft cutters that you are using. So of course, we're always interested in seeing where you guys are joining from. So feel free to comment in, say hello. It's always nice to see who's joining and where from. And then also, what type of vinyl cutter are you using? What type of cutting specifications do you need for this product? We always roll out the specs for the Roland GS24 and the Graphtec C6000 Plus, but I'm curious to know what different types of vinyl cutters you guys are working with. All right, so let's go ahead and dive into CAD-Works Live. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen with you. This is the design that we're going to be creating today. All right, so I'm going to walk you through step by step how to create this design. I already cut out the red piece because, again, I am working with the Cricut Explore Air 2, which is a stepper motor type of cutter. It's a desktop cutter. So it takes a long time to cut out really fine detail. So that red heat transfer vinyl that you're seeing in there or in the design here behind the Cobra's text, which is supposed to mimic the look of a snakeskin print. It took about a half hour for that to cut out on the Cricut desktop cutter. So I already went and cut that out so that you guys didn't have to sit there and painfully watch that cut it out, because there's a lot of really fine detail in there. But I wanted to choose something that had a lot of fine detail so we could really see how well this product weeds out something like that. All right, so I'm going to change my color here to white as the background so that you guys can see all the different elements we're going to be working with today. I'm going to keep this design loaded up here in the upper corner just so we have something to go off of what we're creating here. All right, so the first thing I'm going to do is import and vectorize the free snakeskin design that I have there. So that was the first step in creating this design. I know snakeskin print is really popular beyond just mascot type stuff. So wanted to do something that was really detailed and unique like that. So I was able to find a free snakeskin print design in just Google Images, just like searching through Vectorize, something that was already vectored. And so I went to import and vectorize. You can see I tried a few different this one came out the best. So I double clicked that. I'm going to choose a background color here to make sure that we're getting rid of the back part of this and only adding cut lines to the foreground color, which would be the black. All right, so we're going to select the background color, and then I'm going to select the black as my foreground so that we can start creating cut lines. I'll select next, and what this is going to do is start creating cut lines around each individual piece of that so that it is now something that can be cut out on a vinyl cutter. All right, so that's the basic process on getting a design. Let me zoom out here a bit. Here we go. Forgot I was zoomed in at 200%. All right, so that's the basics of getting your images in here and vectorized if they are coming in as a raster image, and that's exactly what this was. So at this point, all I did was duplicate these and line them up to make it look like it was a longer pattern. All right, and I did that twice so that I'm lining up 3. All right, and now all I have to do to make sure that these are in the line directly is go to Align and hit Middle, and that's going to make sure all of them are exactly horizontal of each other. All right, so at this point, all I'm going to do is hit Condense so that those are all grouped together. I can weld them if I want to, if I'm going to add each piece like where they were grouped together side by side. If I wanted those pieces to weld together and become one cut line, I could do that as well. However, for this instance, all I'm going to do is just group them together and keep them as a solid piece right now so that's something to work with. All right, the next step is adding the frame around this. So you saw earlier we had a white frame around this. So what I'm going to do is add a square. Right, and this is a bit of a process. It's not super long, but I want to show you why I choose to do a punch through for this as opposed to just doing a combined contour. Right, so if I do a combined contour, I want to show you what happens. It's just going to take that cut line and create a gap. So do you see, well, I'm sure you see here, where it's a little thick at the top as opposed to the dimensions of the width of the line here on the side, right? So that's not going to look right. Even if I change the offset, it's always going to remain a thicker line at the top and bottom as opposed to the two sides. So what I do is get the dimension that I need. So I'm going to drag this out. Make it a little bit bigger. All right. And I'm going to duplicate this and change the color. I'm going to punch through. All right. This is going to help create a more even design for the open rectangle that we're trying to create here. So I'm just going to keep sizing this and hit center middle so that it's even on each side. All right, so that looks pretty good. I'm going to hit center middle one more time. And then I'm just going to do the shaping back minus front. And now I have a better looking rectangle here to fit around our print here. And I'm just going to size this down by just dragging it up. And now it's fitting inside there. All right, and I'm just going to make this a little bit taller. All right, there we go. All right, so that part's done. So all I did was make this a white color for my frame that is going to match the text that overlays the snake print. And I'm going to make this red because we're going to be working with white UltraWeed and the bright red UltraWeed as well. All right, I'm just going to size this to fit more inside the frame. If it's layering over top, honestly, that's going to be easier for alignment. So if it is kind of surpassing those dimensions there of the rectangle, that's fine. All right, so now I can put 2 back. All right, so now everything's framed as I'd like it to be. All right, so now all I have to do is add the text and drop everything in. So I'm just gonna go to add text, and our mascot name is Cobras. And the font that I used for this was the Alley Oop. All right, so that is a font that is in CADWorks Live already, so you can use that as much as you want. And I did a character spacing of 1 inch between each letter, and then I sized it to fit by just dragging the text and making it the height and width that I want it to be. All right, and then for my second text, which is dance, this could really work for any sport. It could be band, a club, anything like that. And then I chose the ball pen regular for a really cool script font. And that's in our 2020 new fonts that we're adding and updating CADWorks with. All right, so I'm going to double click that and change that color to the firecracker red, which matches the bright red in the UltraWeed very nicely. All right, so that just drops there. And then this is going to be going on a color block tee that is red and black, right? And that's how simple it is to create this design in CADWorks. All right, so just importing and vectorizing your own designs. At this point, since I am working with the Cricut, what I need to do is break all of these apart. So I'm going to get rid of my original pieces there. And now what I can do is size this to be whatever size I want. I'll have to probably do that once more whenever I am in Cricut Design Space. But what I'm going to do to export this and bring it into Cricut Design Space is break it apart by its colors. So making sure this is center middle. All right, and at this point, what I want to do is make sure that I'm able to export this in a very clear way so that it's easy to vectorize or trace the cut lines in Cricut Design Space. So I'm going to make everything black because I need to break it apart anyway when I'm in Cricut Design Space. So I'll export this as is and then upload it into Cricut. Right, so I already have all of that done in Cricut. If you're not familiar with this process and you want to see how this is done, make sure that you check out some of the other videos we've done that show this entire process of importing the designs in Cricut Design Space, breaking it all apart and assigning color and grouping things together based off of how you want to cut it. All right, so I have not cut the white because I want you guys to be able to see how it cuts and weeds. I did mention that we were going to discuss the cutting spec. So with Cricut, it's really easy for those of you that are working with Cricut now. You guys know that there's just a little dial there in the back or right on the cutter. Sorry, for some reason that's like cutting uneven. All right, hold on. I'm gonna pause because it's not reading right. All right, so I'm gonna hit the arrow button to cancel that. For some reason, it seems like the material was, or the cutting mat wasn't loaded in right. Luckily, I have another piece of white here already cut and ready to, or trimmed down to be cut. So I'm gonna load this on the cutting mat and just reload that. It looks like the cutting mat wasn't lined up accurately whenever I loaded this in. So I'm just gonna make sure that I get it loaded in right this time. So what I do here to make sure it's getting loaded in right is make sure it's right up against the pinch rollers so that it feeds in accurately. It looks like it was just a little bit off, which was causing this to not cut right. right? So I'm going to have this sent one more time. All right, and I'm gonna hit go on the cutter and hopefully it cuts right. All right, so while that's cutting, I wanna show you how the snakeskin print cut out. All right, so again, this took a full half hour, so that's why I'm not having this cut live, because it's going to take forever. All right, so you can see it weeded out all of that little bit itty bitty detail in that design. All right, so if you have the time to cut something out like this for a job, maybe it's just a one-off shirt that you're doing for somebody, it totally makes sense. Because it is a stepper motor cutter that we cut this out on, that would be the reason that it took a full half hour. Now, if I was working with a Roland or a Graph Tech, then because they work on a servo motor, which runs significantly faster, then it would have cut this out much quicker. No, it wouldn't have taken a full half hour. All right, so you can see the finished artwork there. Now, I'm going to be totally transparent here. There are some missing pieces because I didn't take my time in weeding this. I just pulled it right off without like making sure every little piece was sticking down. All right. So I could have, there are two things I could have done to make sure every little piece stuck in there. I could have increased the force of my blade because it is not a new blade. I've been working with this blade probably a couple months now. I haven't changed it out. I've worked with glitter. I've worked with reflectives. Those are heat transfer vinyls that are known from chipping away at the blade. So that could be a reason as to why not all of these picked up. Another reason is because these cutters that I'm aware of don't have a feature known as overcut, which really helps with fine detail. So if I was cutting this out on the Roland or GS24, what I could have done is added a feature known as overcut, which makes the blade overlap the start point of what it's cutting. All right, so the start point and the end point overlap so that it's getting a nice clean cut. And a lot of people actually use that feature if they're cutting little rhinestone circles out of heat transfer vinyl, such as like flock, to make rhinestone templates. So yeah, there's a few different ways I could have done, but I will say for this amount of detail being cut out on a Cricut, which is just not as advanced with cutting a ton of detail like this did very well. So UltraWeed ultimately does a lot of great detail, and it's really easy to weed, which I love because it just really helps in speeding up that process, especially if you're doing a lot of work with heat transfer vinyl, because we all know the weeding process takes forever and it's not something we love to do. So this has made it very simple, super easy to weed. So I'm going to show you what that looks like now. All right, so I'm using my Stahls Easy Weeder. I am going to trim this apart so that we don't have a ton of excess material there. All right, so the inside of that rectangle needs to come out. So we are going to just pick the inside of that. And honestly, one pull is really all it takes with this material. It doesn't rip fairly easily. Now I know it did just rip on me, but if I had grabbed the larger part of that, it probably wouldn't have ripped. All right, but you can see it does have a decent tacky carrier, but it's not excessive to the point where it's like ripping off your arm hairs if you're weeding a ton of material. And then it just lets this material peel away so easily, no ripping or hardly any ripping at least. All right, so that's it. That's as easy as it gets when it comes to weeding heat transfer vinyl. For those of you that are familiar with Premium Plus, especially the high tech, we know that it's great for fine detail, but it's not always the best when it comes to weeding because it has a really high tack carrier and it's a really stretchy heat transfer vinyl. So like I said earlier, this is the perfect mix of fashion film and premium plus. And honestly, between the two, this is going to be it's a no-brainer. This is going to be the product you want to go to. It applies at a nice low temperature, 260 degrees for polyester, which is the lowest heat transfer vinyl that I'm familiar with as far as temperature goes. And then it applies at 280 for the higher the content of cotton that's in your product, the higher the temperature you want to go. So it'll apply anywhere from 260 to 300 degrees based off of the content of cotton that is in that substrate. That's how high you want to apply this at. So I'm going to be applying this product at 280 degrees, and it works with the tacking method as well. So that's going to make this process very, very simple whenever we go to layer each of these pieces, right? So I do see some comments coming in. It looks like we're doing a pretty good job of answering them, but I want to make sure that we are getting to everybody. All right, so yeah, Tabitha, this is our new CAD-CUT heat transfer vinyl known as UltraWeed. Julian says that looks really user-friendly. Can I cut direct from the platform? So CADWorks Live is what I'm assuming you're referencing. So CADWorks Live is a free online artwork program. At the moment, the only way to get the designs to cut from CADWorks in a different artwork software that is Silhouette or Cricut or with Brother Scan and Cut, where you scan in your designs, you have to export your designs in a PNG file to be able to import those designs in the other softwares. If you are working with a Roland or GraphTech or a GCC cutter, those are all set up with VectorCut, which is I always call it the middleman between CADWorks and your cutter. But it's a downloadable, it's a free download. It comes with CADWorks. It'll take those designs and send it directly to your cutter. So you just set it up on your computer, and it'll directly take those designs from the internet and the design space that it has on there and export it and send it directly to your cutter, and you can get it all set up in there. Josh actually did a really great how-to with CADWorks and VectorCut and cutting on his GraphTech. So I definitely recommend checking out that video to kind of see how that process works. All right, so let's go ahead and heat apply so you can see the finished result of the product and how nice it looks on apparel. All right, so that's the other key thing with heat transfer vinyl. We want to make sure that it's not super heavy on the garment, especially if you are layering product, because you don't want it to feel too heavy. And then you don't want it to look too much like vinyl. We're always trying to mimic what ink looks like. And I feel like we've really hit the nail on the head with this product when it comes to that, because it has a nice matte finish to it. So the first layer I'm going to start with is the red. And the t-shirt that we're going to be decorating today is from District. So earlier I talked about it being a color block t-shirt. The body of it is completely black. And that's another true test with this product, is making sure we're not getting that big heat press mark after this is heat applied. So again, since I am working with a 50-50 garment, I have my temperature set at 280 degrees, and I'm going to do a preheat to release any wrinkles and moisture that could be in the fabric. All right, where did okay, here it is. All right, so again, I am placing the red down. And I'm just going to tack that for 2 to 3 seconds. And it is a hot peel, so I can go ahead and remove that carrier. That tack really helps speed up the heat application process so that it is a quick application, and then it's really easy to align the rest of our design for application. So if you're ever finding yourself kind of struggling with applying heat transfer vinyl and the product's registering right on the garment, That could be because material tends to shrink when it's exposed to high heat. All right, so I can go ahead and remove that. And then for my last application, which is the dance text, we are going to apply that for the full application, which is 10 to 12 seconds. All right, and for this, I need to make sure I am grabbing a cover sheet, since I do have exposed heat transfer vinyl for this application. So I'm letting that apply for the full 10 seconds there so that it cures all the adhesive, since we did tack the first 2 layers for just 2 to 3 seconds. Right, and this product is 90 microns thick, which is fairly thin in comparison to a lot of the heat transfer vinyl on the market. You can see it's a nice matte finish, but not too matte, so that it still looks like ink, but it doesn't resemble vinyl, right? So Josh made a really good point whenever he was talking about the matte finish of this product on Friday. Sometimes if a product is too matte, it just kind of looks diluted, or like it's not really popping off of the garment very vibrantly. So this is a great product that has that nice smooth matte finish that doesn't crinkle whenever you feel it. And ultimately it feels more like an ink than it does a vinyl, because it's so thin and it doesn't feel like a plastic type of vinyl like some of the other ones in the market. All right, so really great product. Overall, great design. It's a little crooked on there. I could have done better with alignment, but great product to work with. Perfect for layering. I'm gonna grab my chair here so that I can sit back down and answer some more questions and review comments. All right, so, all right, you guys love the look. Awesome. So I'll be sure to add this as a template in CADWorks so that you guys can use this design for yourselves. But yeah, really great product overall. Has a very opaque look. It doesn't have any scorching on the garment. Now there is some lines there that you can see because of the amount of pressure that I had, but ultimately no scorching. So that's what we're always trying to avoid whenever we're heat printing black and anything with a high content of polyester, is that sheen or shininess on the garment where the heat was just too high and it left a little bit of a burn mark on the garment. So this is completely avoiding that, and ultimately still giving you a premium look and finish without compromising the look of the garment. All right, so again, this material is UltraWeed, brand new. We just launched it on Friday. Yeah, so be sure to check it out. I'll actually bring it up on the website so you can see where to find it. We actually just redid our website a little bit and it looks amazing. So get a chance to show it off a little bit. So under CAD-CUT Direct, which is all of our branded heat transfer vinyl, you'll select heat transfer vinyl, and it is over here under Thermo Grip at the end, UltraWeed right there. And this is the page. This is what it looks like. It gives you all of the information about the product and some of the key attributes of it, and all of the colors it's available in. So I went ahead and downloaded the color chart so that I could share this with you guys and show you all the colors we have launched. Now we are going to continue to add more and more colors of this product. So keep a lookout, and all of the additional colors we'll be adding over the next couple months so that we can, you know, be your resource with this product for whatever color you could possibly think of. All right, so Laura asks the garment. All right, so this is the District garment. All right, and this is from Sanmar. It's one of their exclusive brands that they carry. All right, and now we have another question. When you layered, can you tell it's layered when it overlaps? I'm gonna hold it up closer so you can ultimately see the finish. So I don't think, like, you can tell a little bit in the white where the snake print kind of pops through where all those little circles are. But I love that it does that because I like that it added texture to it. So if you didn't like how that looks, how you can tell that that's like layered over top in that, all you would have to do is punch that through so that the white is hitting directly on the fabric as opposed to laying over top, right? So you can certainly tell a little bit, but it doesn't feel like it's layered. It doesn't feel like a bulletproof print right on the front of the garment. And another key thing of why that is because we have a lot of open areas and void areas where the garment's actually showing through. So it's giving it more breathability. So there are some best practices you still want to follow that we always talk about with heat transfer vinyl and layering. And the more breathability you have in your design where the fabric's actually open in the design, the best it's going to feel on the garment. All right, Denise asked, can you do a mixed media with fashion film? Yes, you can do mixed media with this product. As you can see, it is layerable and you can mix different medias with it as well. All right, so it looks like, Bruce asks, UltraWeed is easier to weed than fashion film. Yes, it is. So it's easier to weed than any other product that we have launched. And for those of you that work with fashion film a lot, you know it's probably our most easiest product to weed with currently. This certainly surpasses that, and you're still able to get all of the attributes that you were with fashion film, but at a lower temperature and just an overall more premium product. All right, so I appreciate you guys so much for joining me. A little change in our schedule with making it together. So I just want to announce that quickly. And remind you as well of some other content that's going to be coming out this week with the Impressions social media takeover. So Josh and I will still be going live with you weekly. However, those times are going to be changing to 11 a.m. with the exception of Mondays, which will still continue to be 10 a.m. as long as we are doing the social media takeover with Impressions. We'll be going 11 on Wednesday and Fridays. All right, so be sure to stay tuned in with us. Monday, Wednesday, Friday, we'll be going live in the mornings at 11 a.m. And at least until the Impressions takeover is over. We'll still be doing 10 a.m. on Monday. And then we have webinars every Tuesday with Impressions as well. So be sure to check those out. We're still feeding a ton of content there. So definitely attend and learn something new while you're experiencing some downtime during the pandemic and whatnot. But I want to just show appreciation for those of you that have been attending these day after day and week after week. We appreciate you coming on and showing us love and just, you know, following through with the content with us. And of course, being a part of the social media takeover with Impressions as well. All right, so I will see you again on Friday. Josh will be back with you on Wednesday. I hope you all have a great week.